One. Today we have a very special guest here at ProGuitar, the interview series that I'm doing here in my home. Before he's gonna talk, I'm gonna introduce him, because this is a very special guest to me, because it's one of my favorite players. He won the Australia's Got Talent when he was 16 years old. He has played with almost all my favorite guitar players, including Robin Ford, Eric Johnson, I think even Steve Vai, and Tommy Emmanuel, Phil Emmanuel. All these great players. Lives in Nashville now, but from Australia, and now is a current member of the band, Emily Harris, guitarist in her band. So please welcome Joe Robinson.
All right.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks, mate. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we have actually had a few days here of playing together and doing a couple of shows in Sweden.
Yeah.
And a couple of workshops, and I wanted to take this opportunity to interview Joe a little bit and talk about his guitar playing and his songwriting as well. And it's going to be everything from a bit of technical things with guitar to songwriting, like I said, and different things. So we're going to just dig right into it. When did you start playing guitar, Joe? How old were you?
I was 10 when I started playing guitar, and before that I played piano a little bit, but I didn't like the piano. I think I just didn't like sitting still in the one place.
Yeah.
With the guitar. I could take it wherever I wanted, and I really liked that. So from day one I really fell in love with it. And I had a really good teacher in the very beginning who just taught me really good songs, like folk songs, just songs that I really enjoyed playing. So he did a wonderful job in just helping me fall in love with the instrument. And then after about a year, I kind of wanted to learn, you know, fingerstyle and jazz and soloing and things that he wasn't, he wasn't able to teach me as much, so I kind of went on my own from there. But yeah, from age 10 I started playing, and just it's all I've thought about ever since.
Yeah, and now you had some. We talked about mentors before and how important mentors is.
Yeah.
You met actually Phil Emmanuel at a very young age, right, in Australia?
I did, yeah. The town I grew up in, Tommy and Phil's old bass player lived in that town. So he was in a band called Gold Rush with them.
I remember they have a record.
Yeah, there's a record, and Tommy's actually the drummer.
Oh,
in that
yeah.
band.
Wow.
Phil's the guitar player, and Chris Haid was the bass player, and he lived in my town. And I had a little covers band, and we used to play out. And Chris heard me and said, "Wow, Joe, you got some talent. You should meet Phil and Tommy. I'm gonna give you Phil's number." So I was playing at a music festival, kind of later that year, and Phil was there, and so I called him. And I went round to meet him, and he was just the coolest guy, the most encouraging guy, and I just never forget what he said. He said, "Man," he said, "you're 11 years old, Joe, and you're playing like Eric Johnson songs, and like you're into Jerry Reed." He's like, "Most 11-year-olds are listening to some Limp Bizkit crap." So he really empowered me and helped me feel like I was, it was a cool thing to study all these guitar players that were my heroes.
And you got into fingerstyle there at a young age.
Yeah.
Listening, you I guess you met Tommy and listened to Tommy Emmanuel as well.
Yeah, at that same music festival, I heard Tommy and Phil play together, and I met Tommy briefly. But just the power of the way that they both played, and Tommy did some solo songs, and I was like, man, if I could play as a solo guitarist like that, wouldn't that be incredible? and I was really uncomfortable watching them because I didn't know how they were doing it. I didn't know how it was possible. So I just became really obsessed with trying to figure out how, you know, he played, and like his arrangement of Blue Moon. I tried to figure that out by ear, and I kind of could work it out, and all the bass notes were wrong, and I had some errors, but yeah, I kind of just really tried to figure out how, you know, he played fingerstyle guitar, and that of course led me to Chet Atkins and Jerry Reed, and you know, all this great music, all these great arrangements, and there was some other players in and around my area who could play that style as well, that kind of showed me some things. So I just kind of begged, borrowed, and stole from anybody I could, and I'm really grateful that I learned how to play fingerstyle, because it's just such a wonderful style.
It is.
And you know, like I play with Emil, as you said, and you know, I play fingerstyle on a telly with her.
Telecaster.
And it really works.
Yeah.
So it's a wonderfully versatile way of playing the guitar.
It is. I feel like it's like you said, even if you're in a band, you can still play kind of that style. And if you're solo, I guess, I mean, to fill the whole kind of sound spectrum, so to speak. I don't know if that's a word, but you can really do that with one guitar if you play that way. If you have some consistent, you know, bass moving, you can really fill all the spaces. But I was also wondering, so you were starting playing fingerstyle at that age, but did you still play electric guitar then, or did you move to acoustic only at that point, or?
Yeah, I was playing electric guitar earlier on because I didn't really have a good acoustic. I had a little nylon string 3/4 size guitar that I literally wore the fingerboard off. I just played it so much. And maybe I had dirty hands when I was a kid or something, even more through the paint with my what was in my fingers or something. But I had an electric guitar that my parents' friends like loaned to me and said, "Here, you can use this guitar and have fun with it." And it was a pretty good guitar. It was like a Les Paul copy made by Emperador, and it was a really good guitar. And so I played that for a while. It was my main guitar, and then I got a Maton guitar in like 2006, 2005. So I was like 14, 15.
And Maton, for you who doesn't know, Maton is probably the most famous guitar brand in Australia, the biggest one. Yeah. Yep. Just like going into a store in Sweden where I live, it's Martin and Taylor, but in Australia there is also Maton in every store,
exactly.
I guess.
Yeah, they're the preeminent guitar in Australia, and after hearing Tommy play, I was inspired to play one of those guitars, and
did Phil also play Maton?
Yeah, and in fact Phil actually loaned me his Maton for a while.
Really?
He had this red Maton that
I saw that in pictures.
Yeah, it's kind of a famous guitar. He plays with Tommy. And for a while he was like, "Oh, Joe, you can have the red Maton for, you know." And I had it for a year or something. And,
wow, that's awesome.
And played it. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was electric. You know, a lot of electric playing with Phil. I used to play with Phil, and I'd go and sit in with him, and we'd play like.
Oh yeah.
Santana.
Oh man, that's a beautiful melody as well. That's a good song to learn when you're learning soloing and tone, I guess.
Exactly, and we used to play.
Yeah. What is that called now? I can't remember.
Rondo alla Turca.
Oh yeah, Rondo alla Turca. Wow. That is awesome. I notice now, because I know that you play both with a fingerstyle, I mean with a thumb pick, and also with a straight pick, a regular pick. So, did you always do that? Or did you kind of learn both during the...
Yeah, kind of picked up both at the same time. You know, I was playing, like when I was first starting out, I played a lot of just blues. With a straight pitch, and when I met Phil, like I figured I had to play that. I figured I had to play it like.
Oh, with finger, hybrid picking.
Exactly. So I was kind of doing hybrid picking mainly because I couldn't flat pick very well. But after hanging out with Phil a lot, he would play songs like Blue Angel.
Oh yeah. Oh, those songs, yeah.
All with a flat pick.
Oh.
And so I kind of just learned from him the flat picking technique a little bit, and started to try to figure out fingerstyle as well. But I started to do so many gigs as a soloist that fingerstyle just became kind of my main thing.
Okay.
Because I was able to just perform, solo.
So, but watching you, I couldn't help thinking of that now that you said when you heard Tommy the first time, and Phil on stage, like how can you do this? Inspired and wanting to learn that yourself. Yesterday you had a show in Varberg, south of Gothenburg, and I was sitting in the audience thinking, this is not possible, because you did so many things that I haven't seen anyone do before. And you played both acoustic, you switched between acoustic and electric, and between thumb pick and regular pick, and so you have so many different things that you can do on the guitar. For anyone who plays with a straight pick, how did you learn to get? You're so relaxed when you play. You mentioned a little bit yesterday about your practice routine. How did you get your right hand to be so relaxed, and how does it work?
Yeah, well, I try and just get as many sounds as I can from the guitar. I don't actually play slide, and I don't really play in open tuning, so I feel like there's a lot of things I don't do on the guitar.
All right.
But doing a lot of fingerstyle and playing with a straight pick, I feel the same principles apply. And when I would practice, I'm always just trying to be relaxed. People say you make it look easy, and I'm kind of like, well, that's what I try and do.
Yeah.
Because if you are tense, or you're straining, or your shoulders are kind of weird, it can create problems in your playing and hold you back from having good technique. So yeah, I spent some time on my left hand trying to get my left hand to be really strong, doing things like this. I do that for a minute. I'm just trying to be relaxed.
To build up strength.
Yeah, and then these two fingers, which
That's
is
a little bit more tricky.
a little bit more tricky, and then the pinky, which most people haven't done that. It's really hard.
It is, yeah.
But especially when playing fingerstyle, you have to have a great left hand. Like you have, wonderful technique. And for me, just isolating that left hand was an important step in having everything be smooth and clean.
Yeah.
And with the straight pick, it's the same principle. I would do exercises like that, just 16th notes.
That's very easy. It's very simple.
Now
get to work.
Four notes per string. You accent the first one, so slowly it's.
Almost chromatic. Oh, I get.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can do any combination. Some people do.
Yeah.
You can kind of do.
It's infinite, I guess. Yeah.
But the idea is just to get the right hand to be real comfortable doing up and down picking, and then it's quite easy to do that slow, and it's quite easy to do it really fast. But in the middle, I think is tricky. So I would sit there with a metronome and just do that, and try and just get my right hand to be really relaxed all the time.
People have different opinions on practicing to a metronome. I do that too. I like to practice with a metronome. How do you do that as well?
Yeah, I do. I love to practice with a metronome. Sometimes I'll have the metronome on 2 and 4. I like doing that.
To get like a swing kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the first time I really sat down with Tommy Emmanuel to just kind of play for him, he was like, Joe, you need to work on your timing, and you need to write songs with better melodies. So more melodic songs.
That's some advice to get when you're young.
Exactly. It was the best thing he could have said to me, and I said to him, I think I'm gonna go home and pull out my metronome. And he said, Joe, that's a very good thing for you to do. That's a good way for you to spend your time. So, I've heard him backstage practicing with the metronome, and I've heard him after a show. He's played to a couple thousand people. We played this gig in Germany, and he left to go to the hotel straight after the concert, and I stayed and packed up you know, some of my gear because we had played together. And I went back to the hotel and I'm coming up the elevator with my guitar and I hear, and Tommy's in his room practicing.
Yeah.
I could hear it from the hallway. And
that's a hard-working guy.
Yeah, exactly. If a guy like that who's so accomplished and has such great timing is still working on his groove.
After a 3-hour concert,
yeah,
and then
I think we can all learn something from that. So I like to practice with the metronome. I do think it's also good to be able to not play with the metronome, and also to be able to play with different musicians with different grooves, because you know, it's good to be able to kind of really adapt to someone's feel.
Yeah.
For like when I'm playing, you know, with Emil or with Rodney Crowell, they have a certain groove and feel that's really different from you and I playing together. When I jam with you, it's a real easy fit because, you know, we're both listening and I feel like we both have the same influences. But, you know, it's good to jam with, you know, great drummers.
Yeah.
Great, you know, people in any instrument to just get used to grooving in with different people in different ways.